coming here in this session. Sino ba yung naligaw dito tulad ko? I think si Lesmo naligaw din. So parang kung pumunta dito, parang nag-labyrinth. And hirap ng parking. So, thank you for coming here. So, for my session, before I start, for my session, is my topic, which is revolutionizing data delivery and exploring AWS AppSync capabilities. So, more emphasis on exploring. So, more exploration siya, and I'm just giving alternative or another options for our traditional API development. Okay, so before I start, I'd like to introduce myself first. So, this is just my picture. Okay, so I'm Mobile Cloud Developer Lead in eCloud Valley. So, same company with Darla, Anthony, Sir Jambi, our three, the Puno. And I have 5 years in industry as a developer. So, 4 years in mobile development. I'm certified AWS Solutions Architect Associate. More like Chamba. Then, if you want to connect, here's my social in LinkedIn. Okay, so let's proceed on my topic. So, ano ba yung topic ko ngayon? So, first, introduction in AppSync. So, ano ba talaga siya? And what is GraphQL? So, I think you heard it, pero I will take a pleasure then. Then, what is AppSync with GraphQL API? Then, I will do a quick demo and the conclusion with the AppSync. Okay, so what is AppSync? So say AppSync is AWS Managed GraphQL service. So then AWS Managed is serverless. And being a serverless, so it means AWS handle all the scaling, the provision. So meaning we can focus on the development itself. Then it's serverless, so it's scalable. Multi-availability zone out of the box. And with built-in caching support, built-in monitoring in CloudWatch, and lastly, offline data sync. So I will dig dive that later. Okay, so ito yung graph niya. So paano siya gumagana? So AWS AppSync. So in AWS AppSync, there's the list of clients that can connect on this. And AWS AppSync use GraphQL. So I will just hold on that thought on the GraphQL. Then you can do monitoring in CloudWatch, and the list of data sources available in AppSync is here. Then another service of AppSync is the PubSub API, which is focused on WebSocket, managing WebSocket. So here, that's the abstract of AppSync. Then we'll dig deeper now. So what is GraphQL first? So what's the difference of GraphQL and REST API? So traditionally, we use REST API in all our development, right? So sino nakaabot ng SOAP dito? Kung meron. So, diba? So REST API is all the way. So AppSync, what is AppSync? GraphQL rather. So GraphQL is a query language like SQL in database, but it's more on API. And it needs a runtime to fulfill those queries. So it needs a server to fulfill or process those queries. And it provides a complete understandable description of the data. So it's more like Swagger, but it's interconnected on that service. Then it gives clients, so it's more emphasize this, it gives client the power to ask exactly what they need and what they want. And the GraphQL delivers that. So here's the example based on the website. So here's the data, the schema of the data. Then the client asks this project, then name GraphQL, and if he wants a tagline only, then the GraphQL responds that project and tagline. So what that means? So ano ba ginagawa niya? Anong benefit nito? So the first thought is, nung na-explore ko rin ito, bakit kailangan siya mag-exist? So, may SPI na parang peaceful na lahat. Parang gano'n, parang feels like Avatar, saying like, because all peaceful and one Prime Nation attacks. So, di ba, parang bakit mag-construct itong industry? Why it exists? So, here's the thought behind those creators. So, the creator is Facebook. Then they have a problem in performance and ability on their mobile app. Because it's a mobile app. So they have many data sources, and they need to, kumbaga, merge all that APIs to be reliable and efficient. So they use GraphQL, and it allows them to be more efficient and effective in data fetching. So parang more on analogy is if you want just like in Facebook, you want a user profile, and the Facebook app displays first name and last name only and profile picture. So the GraphQL, I mean the client can request that three attributes, and it's good. It reduces bandwidth and CPU cycles in processing. Okay, so possible use cases. So yeah, mobile and web apps, real-time dashboards and data aggregation. So I will explain that later. Then API aggregation and versioning. So just like I said earlier, so they have multiple data sources, and they aggregate or merge all the data sources to one endpoint. Then GraphQL can be used to cache data on the client side, not the server. So I think na-experience na ito sa API gateway that we can cache. So but the caching there is on the server side, not on the client side. Okay, so this is the example of the company that uses GraphQL. Some Meta, Facebook, Shopify, GitHub, Coursera, people. So I think familiar naman tayo sa mga companies na to. And ano yung difference ni GraphQL really in the REST API? So the boring description. So GraphQL server side to REST API is more a format, approach, design, or structure to how we use API. Then GraphQL work schema and queries, resolvers. So I will explain that later. Then the object is independent based on the developer the client wants. Then for the REST API, it uses different data endpoints. So if you want to have a user object, you have a user endpoint. So if you have a comment object, you have a comment endpoint, right? Then data will be returned passing from different REST APIs. Then the object is defined by the endpoint, not the client. So if you have a REST API and user endpoint, walang magagawa si client kung yun yung binigay ng user. So wala siyang magagawa, kundi consume lang yun. Parang gano'n. Okay, so let's go to the real scenario para mag-gets din natin. Okay, so, sorry, balikan natin. So here, the design in mobile app. So I have here a simple DAG or story app, mobile app. Then if we do this in REST API, we have this possible kind of endpoints. So one get endpoint to get the author or the user. Then one get endpoint for the stories of the author and the story of description of the story, comments of the story, and the description of the comment. So it feels like 5, right? Then what's the problem there? The problem here is for the REST API, there's overfetching problem. So what is it? So this API can return data that we don't need. So every data has bytes, has size, storage. So it takes bandwidth, battery, CPU cycles in the server, and also the device itself to process those data. And we always do that in REST API. And also, we have the problem of underfetching. So what's underfetching? Underfetching means, for the user REST API, we want a story. So we can do that here in user API, author API. So we need to call first, we want to call this again to have that story data. So that's underfetching, and it scales. So it has an n+1 request. So if you need something more, you need to add another REST API endpoint for that. Okay. So how we do it in GraphQL? So we have a one method that display home, for example, and it has a sub method which is get author. We have ID of 1, 2, 3, 4, for example. Then here, we have this part, the view, that corresponds for the user data. And that user data resolved or fulfilled by the resolver, which I explained later, and it came from the user table. Then for the stories, list of stories, from the stories table, comments, for the sa comments. Okay, so feels like magic, right? Parang siya nagana. So, paano siya nag-work? Sorry. Paano siya nag-work sa AppSync? Ano bang ginagawa ni AppSync to do that? So, in AppSync, so GraphQL has a schema, right? Then, the runtime that fulfill those queries is the AppSync. Because in GraphQL, there's so many clients that can do GraphQL, which is Apollo and other stuff. But now, siyempre, we're AWS group, so we're promoting AppSync, right? So AppSync can do that. Then the possible data sources in AppSync, which is here, DynamoDB, our best friend, RDS, AWS Lambda, Elasticsearch, OpenSearch right now, and other API, which is HTTP and any third-party API. So, key main takeaways in GraphQL. So it solves the problem of overfetching and underfetching. But I will hold on this because I know there's something on your mind that GraphQL solves overfetching and underfetching, but REST API can do that, right? We can solve that in REST API because we can create an API that one endpoint and it will give you everything you need, right? But the problem there is you need to create that in a specific page, for example. You need to create that many ways, depends on the page that you need. Hindi siya reusable, more on specific siya, and you need to maintain many more codes to do that. Okay, then strongly tied contract between client and server. REST API can do this because in our current development process right now, we're using REST API, we use serverless, and we use pedantic approach, which is strongly tied contract. But the difference with GraphQL is we have this response validation. So what is response validation? So for example, so here. So for example here, response validation is when the client wants these four attributes will be responded, nothing else. So hindi pwede rin na another client wants another, for example, year level, parang gano'n. If hindi siya nag-exist dun sa attributes of that GraphQL, wala rin lalabas. So it's more secure. So the developer can secure their data that they don't want to expose. And next is low network footprint. So, and also, low network footprint kasi we can reduce bandwidth, CPU cycles, battery of the device in the server because of we can utilize make an efficient API call. Then, my favorite, efficient and rapid front-end development iteration. So as a mobile developer, front-end developer, parang I have a power to choose what I need to consume. Not the developer dictates me to consume. Kasi, for example, I have one project, then parang patambakan niya ako ng response. So sasabihin ko sa kanya, can you customize me, can you create a customized API for my mobile app? Not on the web. So we have two versions of that API. Kasi on the web part, there's unique attributes that they need. And then for the mobile, konti lang kailangan ko. So parang ganun. Then, lagay ko siya na, seems lower utility kasi nga, low power, efficient, so it reduces environmental impact din in power. Okay, so what is AppSync versus API Gateway? So, na-mention ko kanina yung API Gateway. So, ano ba siya? So, ito yung differences. Sobrang haba. Pero, please bear with me. Okay, so si AppSync, siya is fully managed GraphQL and Pub Service for WebSocket. Ang difference naman yung API Gateway is for REST API siya and WebSocket din. Then, etong mga hindi naka-ball is same lang din API Gateway. So meron din siya nito, may caching siya, monitoring using CloudWatch, WebSockets, WAF. May authorization siya using this. Then may custom domain din siya and private endpoint using private PVC. But the difference is with AppSync can integrate directly with that Lambda, DynamoDB. Then we have group-based authentication, offline data sync. But the problem with the AppSync right now is they have no custom scalar type, which is custom data type. Then for API gateway, the main difference is direct integration with most AWS services, kasi yung nauna. And usage policy. So example niyan is you can set a API key for that API gateway. That, for example, you have the limit for 1,000 requests per month. Parang ganun, yung usage policy. Resource policy naman is more on creating a policy for a resource in API gateway. So when the something access the certain resource lang yung pwede nilang i-access. So AppSync pricing, bina-highlight ko lang is $4 per million query siya. Then for API gateway, as we can see here, on paper mas mura siya. And for the REST API, with the long term, mas mura din siya. Pero yeah, more on paper, yes, mas mura siya. Pero kung makikita niyo, kung isipin nyo kanina, doon sa request ko, 5 APIs call versus 1 GraphQL endpoints. So yes, in paper, mas mura siya. Pero in the long run, I think, kumbaga same lang sila, or depends sa implementations niyo. Yeah. Performance, yes, it's depend because Lambda has a cold start problem. But the main takeaway here is AppSync. Using Lambda in AppSync is optional. So, but when using API gateway, every endpoints that we use, we need a Lambda. So it's based pa rin siya sa implementations natin. But yeah. Okay, so yeah, I will do a quick demo. So para mag-guess nyo din yung sasabi ko, nag-churi-churi lang. Okay, so okay pa kayo? Or ano ba kayo? Okay, pwede nyo lang ulitin.
Show me proof.
Okay. Okay.
Magko-code ka from scratch.
Gawin na rapid ako. Okay. Okay. Darla?
Ako na, Dave.
Oh, baka mabawasan yung code.
Bigla kayo. I'm a strong, independent man. Okay, so i-zoom ko lang po para kita natin lahat. Okay, so kung makikita nyo, kung familiar kayo, serverless siya. Pero yeah, sa serverless, ginagamit namin sa API gateway hindi. And this is a new venture for us, AppSync. Okay, so first, I will explain muna yung serverless yung YAML files namin. So, kung napansin ito kaya yung role, ginawa ko na ng port 10, no? And the plugins here is not API gateway, it's AppSync. And here, sa AppSync, ito yung pangalan ng AppSync, logging, enable, ano yung authentication na gamitin? Ano yung mga available data sources, which is the tree database in DynamoDB. Table rather, in DynamoDB. Then, mention ko yan extension later. Then sa baba, resources, ano yung mga tables na gagawin right now. Then, the Cognito user pool for authentication. Then, the owns. So, that, okay. So first, so there's three methods for GraphQL, which is just explain kanina. Sorry. So one is query, number two is petition, number three is subscription. So what are those three? So first, yung query is ginagamit natin siya for the REST API counterpart, get. So yun lang yan, get. Then petition is lahat ng changes, which is create, put, update, delete. Then, an option. Then, sino gumagamit ng Outfield? Wala din. Parang, okay, so next is subscription, which is the website part, the subscription, the pub itself, publish and subscription. Okay, so first, start tayo sa invitation. So, parang I can create a sample data. Okay, so here, I have a code na, kasi yung hirap mag-code ng Scratch. So, ang gamit ko lang siya. Okay, so, explain ko siya. So, first, I created a invitation sa function, which is named create author. Then, yung functions niya is, yung function description niya is, yung code is resolved by the create author file, which is, if you are familiar in Lambda function, parang ganun lang. Pero hindi siya Lambda. Hindi siya Lambda. Yeah, okay. Then, the data source, which is saan siya kukuha ng source na data, which is author dynamo table. Okay, so the code is, so create author. Ayan. So makita natin. So I'm using utils, the helper for apps. Then there's two functions, which is request and response. So in the request, the arguments that came from the request invitation is author. Then I created. Sorry, I think mali ako. I need to explain first pala yung schema. Schema is the first one to explain GraphQL. So what kind of data, what type of data, contract, like class, what structure of the data na gagamitin natin. So sa query, we have get author, which yung gagawin natin, and get stories, and get comments. But right now, may example ko lang si get author. Then, here, the parameter is ID. So when I kumbaga, add the ID here, it will respond a author type, which is here. So ito yung itsura ng author. Then the stories and comments. Then for the invitation part, which is the post, so the create, I have create author function that kumbaga, accept a create author input, which is here. And you can see here, it's like pedantic part in server rules, like, and makikita natin dito is meron siyang exclamation mark. Exclamation mark means required. So, email, first name, last name, and profile picture. Profile picture is optional. Then, this is the input for create story. Then, this is the input for create comment. Then the schema, which is there's three, create invitation and subscription. Okay, so medyo abstracted pa siya. So please bear with me, guys. Okay, so create author. So you can see here in the schema, it accepts an object which is author, and that author has a type of this, right? Then in create, so spread function lang. I think you know it all. Yung author. Then I created add and updated add that current time. Then the operation in DynamoDB is put item and the key, which is I had the util of AppSync has a auto ID or auto create. Then attributes will be spread lang dun sa DynamoDB. And the condition is if that ID exists, huwag mong gagawin. Then the response, which is the response on the client side, is kumbaga, kung ano naman result na to, bilagay mo sa akin. Pero kung may error, huwag mo siyang ibigay. Kung i-append mo yung error, i-display mo. Okay. So, let's deploy it. So, I think you're very familiar with this command. Guess what command I will use?
SNS.
And? Good job. That's one. Okay, so, okay.
Oh no.
So, dideploy ko na siya sa AWS console. Yeah. Then, habang nag-wait tayo, let's go to the AWS console. And makikita natin dito yung kinatake natin na AppSync API. So, yeah, yung stories. Yeah. Tapos, nakita natin dito yung schema. So, we have the schema here. And we can see actually we can code in console And kumbaga, siyempre traditionally, dapat ano ka magaling ka, so dapat PS Code, hindi ka dapat mag-console. So,
Dapat beam.
dapat beam pala. So, yeah. Then, this na data type. So, makikita natin dito, may mga attach siya. Yeah. So, I will explain it further later. Pero, it means lang na every type, every data on that schema, we can attach a data source kung saan siya pwede manggaling. Okay? Then, check natin kung okay na. Oh! Error. Walang internet. Okay. So, right now, okay. So, this is the data source. So, ito yung nakita natin kanina. So, we have three data source, possible data source, which is 3 DynamoDB type, authors, comments, and stories. We can use Lambda, Event Bridge, and other stuff. Then, the cache, which is, sabi ko kanina, para siyang API gateway, pag meron din sa server. Pero, in the client side, hindi ko lang pwede ma-demo kasi wala akong client side right now, that we can cache the response of the resolver or the of the GraphQL in the client side. Then the monitoring, just like parang API gateway din, may CloudWatch, and parang X-Ray. Okay, so I think okay na. Okay na siya. Thank you, Lord. Okay, so we can use these queries. So we can use this to test out our GraphQL API. So here, meron tayong invitation kanina, which is create author. And the create author wants is email, first name, last name, then profile picture. Pero optional nga siya. Kung makita natin dito, naka-asterisk siya. It means it's required. Then, makita dito natin dito, case ano lang ba yung response niya after successful call. So, I want email and first name and ID lang. Then, login ako. So, yung authentication ko kanina, dun sa AppSync. So, pakita ko lang ulit. Kasi there's so many type of authentication or security. We can use a API key, but right now I use authentication. So, ito user pools. Wala. Okay, naglalagay na siya. So, I will run it. Please.
Wow.
Wow. Sorry, I think I need to refresh it. So, login lang ulit. Please kumama. Wait lang, sorry guys. Ito yung pag-iam sa live demo.
Kaya try live demo pa.
Okay, so function. Tama naman.
Kinabahan.
Hindi kinakabahan yung laptop eh.
ChatGPT.
So, okay. So, may plan B naman ako, don't worry. So, kung everything fails, I have one na nag-deploy. So, vlog siya. Okay. Ayan, okay. So, parang almost same lang siya, pero ginamit ko lang is author din, but the story is post. Okay. So, kung makikita natin sa schema, for example, we need to create tayo ng author. So, the author has this kind of data. Then, the queries, usan tayo ng mutation. So, here, create tayo author. Yeah. So, meron natin ito, create post. Then, in sa author, it wants email and name.
Anthony na lang.
So, Anthony.
Hello po.
Login lang. Okay. Then, I will try to run it. Please run.
Ayun na.
Ay na mag-run. Ganun. Pwede ba ano may hotspot pa yun?
Nararamdaman niyang kinakabahan.
Wait lang.
Bigyan mo na lang.
Okay, so sorry.
Baka ano lang.
Little mishaps lang. So yeah, so nakita natin kanina. Nakita natin. So I created an author which is email and the name is Anthony. Then sinabi ko, if that API success, create an email and name yung balik mo sa akin. So yeah. Then we can check here Amazon and TV. Saan nga ba? Ito. Ito. Yeah, so yeah. Ito natin. So, this is use yung key, this is name. So, alam niyo may yan dapat, ganyan. Okay, so, next is, balik tayo sa schema. No, wait pala tayo. So, next is yung post. So, we have the author na. So, we play tayo ng post. Sa post naman, it needs an author name, the content, the published date, then the title. So, the author name is gusto natin kung sinong author ba yung nag-post na yan, for example. So, sabi ko si Anthony.
Ano, expose na ako.
Oo, syempre. Then, sample content. Mali ba spell? Okay. Tapos, publish date. So, publish date natin is, meron siyang format kasi. So, yung YY. So, 2024, 04, 25. Then the title, Best Developer. Oh my God.
Yabi naman.
Okay, so
Dinidebug niya daw pag nagkamali.
so yeah, I created it. And nakita nyo ID lang. So bakit ID lang? Kasi ID lang yung sinek ko. Okay. Okay. Then this is the magic part. So let's get back to the type. Then we can see here na the name, email, and it has posts. See here. So paano na kukunin yan? Like, they are came from different DynamoDB. So, ang trabaho ng resolver is to resolve that thing, that problem na, okay, so suppose, need ko siya kunin sa post table. Diba? So, how can I do that? So, here in the code, oh no. Here. Then, we have the get author. No, dito na pa tayo mas madali. So, here, in author, ito yung name, ito yung fields niya. And makapansin natin, yung iba, wala siyang nakatouch na resolver or function. Because it can resolve by getting in DynamoDB sa author table. So, pwede natin siyang malagyan ng data based doon sa DynamoDB lang natin, which is sa Dynamo table niya. Then, here in post, you can see here, may pipeline function. So, yung pipeline function means, kumbaga, series of functions siya para makuha natin itong list of posts ni author. So, kung tinignan natin yung code, first function niya is yung source, which is yung data type, which is the author, and kinuha natin yung name niya, kasi yung key schema niya, which is the author part. Then it will return the series of items na based dun sa previous result, which is the previous result is here, the get post. Dito na yung querying ng post sa ng post dun sa Dynamo table niya, which is here. So I think we are familiar with this, na we have the expression na on the author name. So the author name na variable is came from here na binigay natin. Medyo complex, but pag tinry niyo siya, parang gano'n lang pala. Medyo complex lang siya right now. Medyo overwhelming lang. Pero basic lang naman talaga siya. Then the expression lang na kung yung author name ba na yun is equals on that variable name. Then it will respond a result of this. Then babalik sa taas. Then it will respond the list of posts. So kaya, pag kinuwi natin siya, punta ako kay Anthony. So punta ako query, which is nasa mali siya tayo kanina, sa changes. Ngayon, sa query, so I will get an author, and the author I want is Anthony. Siyempre. Okay, then I want the list of posts niya. Okay. Then the list of posts niya, so kunin is ito, yung lahat. Then, I will run this kumana. Yun! Gawa na siya. Okay, so makikita natin na get author niya, pero post na yung kailangan ko eh. Pero get author yung function ko. Then, binalik niya sa akin is post. Yung isip nyo, baka naman, ano lang ngayon, static lang ngayon. So, try tayo ulit. So, try tayo. Then, try ulit tayo ng post. Anders Anton. Author.
Second.
Ayan, nag-double ko. Then, check natin ulit sa query. Get author, Anthony ulit. So it should have a 3 posts under his name.
Nag-operate na yun.
So author content and then yeah. So imbis na mag-join tayo like sa REST API, and ang maganda pa doon is the function of getting the post here, the pipeline, is can be reused everywhere basta may post ka. So hindi mo na siya kailangan i-code ulit. Like, for example, itong code na to, basta pag may post ka na kailangan, kakabit mo lang siya. Then, okay na. So you can reuse, so easily maintainable code. Na for example, meron ka ng, for example, my task is to get or all post-related object. So I will create the resolver on all posts. Then okay yung task ko. So if that another developer wants a post data object, sabihin ko lang, okay, ito yung functions na ginawa ko. Gamitin mo na lang. Okay? Okay, so any questions dun sa query notation? Okay, parang wala. Okay, so last one, the main takeaway. Kasi ito yung pinaka-favorite ko. Kasi the problem mostly sa mobile app is how can I refresh the app on the specific page ng real time? For example, notification, the use case of notification list. So if there's another new notification, I want to refresh the notification list page. So, siyempre, in our mind, pwede natin gawin is, I will create a polling REST API every 10 seconds to check if there's a new one, diba? But, there's capability in GraphQL, which I've seen, to create a WebSocket agad. So, ganito na siya kadali. So, create real-time API. Next. Pangalan natin siya, siyempre, favorite ko ito eh. Anthony API. The next. Then, create lang tayo ng, so meron siyang create na simple na template for us na paano ba bunggaan sa website. So, let's wait lang. Then, here, meron na tayo schema. Yan. So, we have channel na type. Then, invitation, which is yung basic. Query. Then, the subscription. So, di tayo. So, makita dito sa subscription. There's a subscribe method. Then, it will respond a channel type. Then, makita dito, in our subscribe, it means when that mutation happen, which is the publish part, it will return channel type. So, paano siya gumagana in action? Okay, so ngayon, ngayon natin. So, we have that, diba? So, run lang siya. So, it will run. I mean, it will wait on the subscription or publish or broadcast event. Then, kaya ko lang, I will open this in a new tab. Then I will do the meditation part. Okay. Tapos, the meditation part. And hello world, yung sabi ko, then I will publish that. So, nag-success siya. Guess what? Sa magic, guys. Here. Hey. So, sobrang dali mag-web sa akin. Diba? Like, so, super simple lang. Pero pag ginawa ko sa API gateway yan, naranasan ko yan guys, class B. Dami pong kailangan configuration, default route, anong route na ito, parang ganyan. So, di ba, wala pang 5 minutes, nagawa natin na sa akin. Ganyan lang siya kadali. Okay, so back to the presentation. Okay guys, na tayo matapos. Okay, so, ano yung mga customers ni AppSync? So I think di natin masyado itong alam, pero eto siya. Pinakita ko lang siya para alam din natin, para pwede nyo i-check ano yung mga testimonials and case study nila para fit sila dun sa pwede yung project na gagawin. O other pain points nyo as of now. Then, conclusion, syempre. The conclusion is, syempre, using AWS is owning your flexibility. So, wala namang one size fits all. Kumbaga, it depends on your pain point, depends on your preferences, and syempre, depends din sa right. So, because there's the right tools for the right occasion. So, for example, for me, kaya medyo biased ako sa AppSync right now because I'm a mobile developer. So, there's a specific use cases that I want to solve in AppSync na hindi ko siya masyadong magawa agad or more effort in API gateway in using REST API. And yeah, so kaya in terms of mobile development, AppSync will revolutionize the data delivery. Okay, thank you.
That's Sir Arlu for you. Again, let's give a big